you are representative of a lot of people in that you have acquiesced or acclimated to the environment around you, and you don't reach very far beyond it. So life just keeps being more of what is. And even if life is good, more of what isn't enough. More of the same isn't what you signed on for. You signed on for, and by that we mean you came into this environment wanting a desire to happen within you, even a desire that you don't think that you can manage right now, because the exhilaration in life is closing that gap. Just like it's fun to clean up a messy house or to organize a disorganized house. So it's the same sort of thing. It's closing the gap is what feels fun. But what happens with a lot of people is that because they are accustomed to managing things through behavior and action, they don't bite off more than they think they can chew, and they don't let themselves go places that they don't think they really can go. So they might have a bucket list, but they don't believe it. And so they just sort of settle into something that is stable, but something that isn't really ringing their bells. This question has been asked of us many times through the years. Abraham, is it better to reach for something that you know you can reach and then accomplish it, and then reach again and then accomplish it, and then reach again and then accomplish it, so that you never get too far out of whack? Or is it better to really want something that you don't believe that you can get and then find a way of moving forward? And we say it depends on how you feel about the exhilaration of what you all call drama. If you want it and get it and 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 want it and get it, that could be a really nice life, certainly in comparison with people who want it and don't get it and want it and don't get it and want it and don't get it. But to want it and not get it, and then to want it and then still not get it, and then to want it and still not get it, all the time that you're aware of what you're not getting, you're calibrating what you do want until you've created something that has strong pulling power, and then you let yourself move toward it. That's exhilarating. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would play it both ways. We'd be stable, but we would let ourselves reach for things that we really, 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 really want. And the thing is, this is the thing that's got you tripped up. Whatever your current ability to attract is, and we're talking about vibration primarily, but we're also talking about people who are helping you, or limitations that you feel that you might have, or financial limitations that you have or don't have. In other words, wherever you are standing, most people are in a sort of rut because they're used to accomplishing what they're accomplishing, and they're used to living what they're living. But you've got a motor running inside of you. You have a vortex that would keep you busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes, and you're not letting yourself look there. We have a big question. Why? Why? And we have a big answer too. Big answer is because I'm afraid if I look and don't get, then I'll be misunderstood by others, or I'll be embarrassed, something like that. That's because you're accustomed to seeing most people doing what we just described. And when you start doing something different than that, you do sort of stand out. When you let yourself think about one, the reason that Esther's having a hard time finding words around this is because we always reach into you to find desires that are being trampled by resistance. But what's happening here is it's not that your desires are being trampled by resistance. It's been that you haven't been letting yourself have desires for fear that they would be trampled by resistance. Sometimes people offer the words, I'm afraid to fail, or I'm afraid to succeed. And we always tease them a little bit because they're not afraid of their success. They're afraid of wanting something that they can't get. So in the cluster of people that surround you, are they paying a lot of attention to you? And do you care a lot about what they think? Yes, yes. There's nothing wrong with that. It's sort of a normal way to live life, except that then you're limited by the averages of those who surround you. And most people, especially as they move through life, they don't let themselves believe in the big stuff, you see. You are a byproduct, as is almost everyone you know, a byproduct of the way people respond to you. So if you let yourself want something a little bit, and then you look at those a lot of times it's not even them judging you, it's you expecting them to judge you. But it sort of creates a pattern of not standing out because you don't want someone to feel critical of you. And the reason that you don't want somebody to feel critical of you is because when somebody feels critical of you, it's hard for you to not go there too. This is the reason that we're talking about getting out ahead of it and calibrating it. Because can you feel the vicious cycle it is that here you are and people see you and they have opinions about you and you'd like to change those opinions, but you know it's kind of futile because you've had so many conversations with so many of them and you know how they feel, how a lot of people feel. So picture all of those people that we were talking about that are on that football field, that are all gathered into their little clumps, and each little clump is sort of criticizing all the other clumps. That's a pretty accurate depiction of the way the world can be, and you are a really good representation of someone who got sort of, without meaning to, trapped in one of those clumps, and now you don't know what to do about it. Well, what we want you to hear from us, and this will free you, we don't want you to try to find other clumps that you might migrate to. We want you to understand that there are people in every one of those clumps, in the clump that you stand in included, who are reaching for the same things that you are reaching for. In other words, believe us when we say that there are only two groups, those under the influence of source and those not. So what you are explaining with your words and with the way you're feeling is that you haven't for a while, even though you've been doing energy work and wanting to, you haven't been under the influence of who you really are. You've been under the influence of those who you don't want to criticize you. They don't mean to criticize you. They just feel criticized too. If someone resents you, you know what you usually do? Resent them back. If somebody doesn't like you, you know what you usually do? You don't like them back. And you know what that is? Creation by default. That's not creation by deliberate intent, and it never feels good. This is the thing that we so much want to say to everyone. You've got to own your vibration, because you can't cover it up with behavior or words. You got to own it. You got to admit how you're feeling, not for them. We don't mean admit it out loud to them, because it would rain down unpleasantly. We mean you've got to own how you feel. Otherwise, you don't know when you've calibrated an improvement. You got to own how you feel. Otherwise, you don't understand what's coming back to you and why. It feels like their fault. When you have the misunderstanding that there's assertion going on and that you're being criticized unfairly and unnecessarily, then you just withdraw more and more and more and more and more and more and more until you come to this place where you said to us, I don't even know what I want. And the reason you don't know what you want is because you've been afraid to let yourself want, because you've been feeling like you're being criticized because you believe a flawed premise, which is other people can assert into your experience, and it's not true. You're not saying anything because you don't trust them to like you. You don't trust them to have positive thoughts about you. And you know why? Because they don't have positive thoughts about you. And you know why? Because you don't have positive thoughts about you. In other words, it's attraction, 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 attraction.